Hey, what's going on, guys? What you're about to watch is essentially the pilot for a new podcast I've been working on dubbed Monster Taming and Chill. This pilot episode was sort of the reverse of what you're going to see with this segment. Generally, this podcast will feature various game developers in an interview-like format, with the devs being the main focus and me being more of a host. But when I went to Jason, aka the dev of Monster Crown, he came up with a splendid idea to kick off the podcast by him interviewing me on his channel. Now, Jason, as well as Zack, the Siralim Ultimate dev, used to run a monster taming podcast of their own, but more recently have dedicated their time to game design. This interview to me means a lot, as it sort of embodies that idea of passing the torch, so to speak. Both of them are veterans of this community, and having the honor of providing said community with this type of content has been my pleasure. Now, with that being said, I already have a few devs lined up for future interviews as well, so I hope you guys enjoy the sort of kickoff to this podcast. We're definitely going to have to make Jason come back on once again so we can interview him this time. So yeah, guys, enjoy.
So hello everybody, this is just a little showcase of my good friend here, Gym Leader Ed's new podcast coming up, where he's going to focus on monster taming and speak with various developers on his podcast, Monster Taming and Chill. That's coming up soon. So when Ed approached me for this, I thought, it'd be a great time to get to know Ed as a kind of jumping off point for his podcast, and he's been someone I've kept my eye on as he starts to create content for the community and move the genre forward, and I'm sure he's on many of your radars. So, Ed, why don't you just take a minute to introduce yourself and mention your channel, which will have all the links below.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, everybody. So like Jason said, I'm Gym Leader Ed. I focus on various monster taming games, obviously Monster Crown, Coromon, Kindred Fates, Cassette Beast. I could spend the entire podcast just listing off all the different monster taming games that are coming up, but I basically do deep dives, let's plays, news, etc.
Great, and your channel has been doing really well, because I know back, it must be 3-4 months ago, maybe it's longer. I apologize if I get the dates wrong, but I saw your channel and you covered a bit of Monster Crown stuff, and I said, something I like to do is if we have fans create a lot of content, I like to take them aside and show them a monster that no one else has seen yet, kind of as just a thank you. So I wanted to share a couple of monsters with your channel that you could have kind of as an exclusive reveal, because at the time you only had, I believe, a few hundred subscribers.
Yes.
Yeah, like this guy, he's up and coming. This is cool. I hope people catch on to his videos. So I just want to give him a bit of information to share. And then I'd check when I'm getting ready for this podcast, and you've got over 4 times as many subscribers as us now. So it's like I think I need to start asking you for some reveals. Can I get some? Well, actually, you're letting me do reveal for this podcast, so in a way that helps. So I guess we're going to be back in competition again. But yeah, thanks for covering that, and thanks for shining a spotlight on us with the EA launch. And
for sure.
One thing I really love about your podcast is there are so many monster taming games in development and coming out now. And it's hard to keep track of it. And as a developer in that arena, and I'm sure Zack would feel the same, and many of the developers of Coromon and Cassette Beasts, you want to keep an eye on what everyone else is doing, because you don't want to do the same thing as someone else, and you want to innovate, but also you want to know, what's the quality level being set to? So you make sure that you're putting enough in your project to rise up to be what people deserve and come to expect as these games come along. So it can be a bit difficult to keep on top of everything, but your channel is great because it distills everything in one place. You've got weekly videos, you shine the spotlight on various games, so it's been awesome for that purpose. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I really try to make sure that I can cover the games as much as I can, because it's honestly been a little overwhelming with how many monster taming games are up and coming. I've been having to sort of shift focus on the ones I'm really interested in, and then some of them have more information, some of them have less information. It's honestly been a wild ride.
I'm sure when you started, there were probably just some games that caught your eye, or you just generally kept tabs on. But now that you've grown, I noticed that you've recently asked people, what other monster taming games should you cover? So now that you're starting to grow and you're really being involved in this genre in a great way, do you feel like you have a bit of a responsibility to, is there pressure on you to know about all the games and give everything equal coverage? How are you dealing with that as you grow?
Yeah, honestly, that's been something that I've been really trying to do, because there are games that I know about that I haven't just covered quite yet, because I feel like maybe I want a little more information before I can do like a showcase, or but I definitely feel like there's a bit of a like a responsibility to make sure that I can find all these games. I always have people like coming to me in the Discord saying, hey, like check out this game, check out that game. It's honestly been a little crazy, if I'm being honest.
Cool, that's awesome. I love to see everyone taken to you. I noticed that you also did a review for Monster Crown's early access release, and you mentioned that there was a couple of things we needed to take a look at and polish up, which is much appreciated. But you didn't give it a 10 out of 10. So my first question today is, how dare you? And my second follow-up question is, who do you think you are?
No, I don't.
I'm just joking around. I
know. No, I don't even give number ratings anyway, because I feel like it's disingenuous. Because I could give, let's say I gave Monster Crown an 8, right? And then I gave another game an 8, but I actually enjoyed Monster Crown more, or in the future my standards changed. And I find the numerical values a little bit. It's too because what I consider like a 10, for example, could be something different from what someone else considers a 10. Because honestly, to me, a 10 isn't necessarily even a perfect game. It's just a game that I really enjoy. But I know some people get bothered by certain things that I don't get bothered by. For example, if a game has like a minor bug or something, like that doesn't bug me by any, it's like, oh, okay, whatever, not a big deal. Whereas other people might be like, oh my God, there's a little collision bug, or there's this or there's that. So I try not to give numeric values, just because it's going to cause too much unnecessary debate between hey, well, you rated this game higher than that game and that game higher than that game, where at the end of the day, it's mostly my opinion. I try to back it up with facts, but at the end of the day, it is opinion, right?
I get you 100%. I saw an episode of The Office where Michael asks Toby as he's leaving, how dare you? But he tries to phrase it in a way that's not so offensive. And I saw that on TV the other day, and I said, I gotta punk Ed with it.
Gotta do it.
But yeah, and I mean, once you start getting into numerical values, you don't want to have a repeat of that situation with too much water.
Exactly.
You don't want to run into that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, Ed, I know that you know really well a lot of the developers. I'm good friends with Zack, and I know he knows you well. We've had a few stabs at trying to keep a podcast going on our end, and I think we've just been too busy with core development, so I'm really happy to see you launching this podcast. With that, I want to get into a couple of questions we've got here for you today to formally kick things off. So, Monster Taming and Chill. What inspired you to start your channel in the first place?
Okay, so from all the way at the beginning, so a lot of people might not know, my channel is actually from 2009. That's when I technically made it.
No way.
I believe I haven't actually posted a video until around 2013, but the original inspiration for my channel was actually Pokemon X and Y. So I liked watching the leak videos, and there was a lot of hype surrounding those games. And whenever I'd see a leak or a rumor or something, I always felt like the person wasn't saying something that I wanted to say. And I was like, oh, I want to say something. So I took my really, really crappy laptop, a Windows Movie Maker, and I started making X and Y leak videos. And then, I kind of fell off from doing that. And then years later, I was working on a ROM hack, and I just kind of used my channel just to show little bits of it, because there were people who wanted to see little updates as I was working on it. So I did that for a while. But what I really started taking YouTube as a serious hobby at the beginning of this year, when all the sort of Sword and Shield debacle happened with the game not doing that well in terms of what a lot of older fans wanted. I found myself, I guess I could say, really disappointed with the direction that Pokemon was going. I've always been I've been a fan of the series since I was 4 years old. I'm 26. I got Pokemon Red when I was a 4-year-old kid. And this is gonna sound stupid, but when Sword and Shield came out, or not even before it came out, when they were announcing all the cuts and stuff like that, I felt like it wasn't really an ideal situation. And at the time, I used to use Pokemon as an escape, because I had a kind of a messed up childhood. I'm not going to go into detail about that, but so it was a big escapism for me. And I was legitimately upset about it for like a week. And then one day I saw this video that was showcasing other games, because at the time I had no idea that you could have monsters and make them battle, and that was its own thing. Pokemon was the only thing I'd ever thought of. Like, yeah, they had Digimon games and stuff, but I never I felt the day I watched that video, I felt like my mind like just was blown. And I was like, I need to make videos about these games. There's not that many videos about them. But I remember it was like a top 10 or something of like new games that are coming in. What I don't remember what the video title was called, but it was like, these are new. I think they called them like Pokemon like games that are coming out. And there was 4 of them in particular that really got me wanting to make videos. One of them was Temtem. One of them was Monster Crown, Coromon, and then at the time it was called Kindred.
Oh yeah.
So when I started, like those were the 4 big the 4 big ones for me right at the start, because I found like, so with Temtem there was sort of that MMO aspect, so I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And then I was someone who liked to play Pokemon Showdown back in Gen 6, and they were talking about putting together like a ranked system and all this stuff. So I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then with Coromon and Monster Crown, they felt like it was a classic formula, but there's so much stuff that they're doing differently. With Coromon, it kind of reminds me of like the 4th gen of Pokemon. And with Monster Crown, with all the crossbreeds is what sold me. Like the graphical style too. Like I really like that. It reminds me of Gold Silver. I really like that graphical style. So when I saw that, and then the darker tone of the game, the fusions, and then I saw the Synergy Form trailer and all that, like I was like, oh my god, this is awesome. And then at the time there wasn't a lot of information about Kindred, so I kind of put that on the back burner until the Kickstarter, when they had that new trailer showcasing all the battles and stuff. It's been a wild ride.
Wow. Yeah, that's quite an evolution. So really, you kind of crawled your way across different topics until you found something that was the right combination between gets an audience and is an expression of what you want to show.
Yes, exactly. Like I didn't realize when I was making these videos, like I didn't for a second think that there was this many people that were like, when we hit 1,000 subscribers, we were, I was astonished. I was like, this is insane. Like there's this many people that are interested in, because every time I've mentioned like just in passing, these types of games to my friends, they're just like, what do you mean, like Pokemon? Like nobody, it's like there's this thing that closes off people's brain to, you can have creatures battle each other and it doesn't have to be Pokemon.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing for me.
Yeah, I get you 100%. And I think one point that you brought up that's really relatable to a lot of people is that Pokemon, or whatever your monster taming game of choice is, offered you a bit of a sanctuary as a kid.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you had a rough childhood, so it becomes an escape, and totally the same for me. It's and it carves out a special place in your brain and your heart, I think, for this genre. So, what is your favorite classic monster taming game?
So, this is kind of embarrassing because I'm a monster taming channel, but I haven't really played much of the classics. I do want to play more of them in the future, but like with all the games coming out, I've had my hands really full. But I've wanted to try Telefang. I've heard like good things about that game. The original Shin Megami Tensei, everyone's telling me to try that. Disc Creatures isn't really like it's not that old, but that's another one that came out before I started making videos that I've wanted to really try. And like the Dragon Quest monsters. There's a bunch. There's a whole list of games that people keep spamming me to try.
It can be tough to find time sometimes to explore the whole backlog, especially with something with such a rich backlog as the monster taming genre.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and Zack and I played through Dragon Warrior Monsters again last year. First time in a few years. We both played it as kids. And we both took... it was amazing comparing and contrasting the different things that stood out to us. So like when you have a lens, I guess everyone has their own lens when it comes to games. And I think the older monster taming games, everyone can kind of get their own take on it. Which is what I believe led to the recent expansion of the genre. Everyone interpreted a different thing as they played through, like you said.
Yeah.
All right. I was going to ask you how you evolved your channel, but you've kind of already gone into a bit on that. So why don't you tell us a bit about that ROM hack you're working on? What was the story
Behind
behind
that
that?
one?
So
Good idea.
as a kid, like I always wanted to make my own Pokemon game. So I decided like to learn. I dabbled with the ROM hacking tools when I was like a kid, like when I was like 13, 14. But I decided like I'd go back to it and see if I could like legitimately learn how to do stuff. Because when I had dabbled in it as a kid, I was just using tools to change stuff, but I didn't know how to like script events and stuff. So I eventually I started learning and I got really obsessed with it, like to the point where it was kind of unhealthy. Like I was coming home from I mean I guess I'm kind of like that with YouTube now, but I'd come home from work just like I am now and work on it for like 8 hours and sleep for 5 hours and then go back to work and come home and work on it. But basically the ROM hack is it's in its own region. It has like its own story. It's a darker story tone. It's stuff like that. I got to the second badge and I've been kind of working on it just in passing, but I kind of put it on the backlog until I can get some more. I can get that sort of like creative drive going again. Sometimes I have to take like breaks because I get a little bit of like a block. So that's kind of what happened with Pulsar. And then I had a kid, so it made it harder to to do coding too.
Oh, you have a kid. Wow. So
Yeah.
how old is the kid?
Oh, she's 10 months now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that kind of coincides exactly with when your channel really started to take off, didn't it?
Yeah, it did actually. She was born in October, and I started making videos in January. Actually, not in December, but yeah, like around that time, it was really tough making videos and stuff when she was first born. I used to only upload like once a week, but now that she's a little bit older, it's a little easier. She's less needy. Like she can kind of chill and hang out in her little playpen while I like am editing for a bit, and then I could do what I got to do with her and then put her back. And it's a lot easier now.
Wow. I come home from work and I usually get right into the Monster Crown work to try to keep that going and try to maximize my time into that. And really, I just, like, I have a dog, but really my fiance does most of the caretaking. But, sometimes I wish I could spend a bit more time with her just to, make her happy, give her a good life. So it's a whole other level with a kid. Like, much respect for you being able to pull that off and keep the channel going at such a high level of quality. Your videos aren't just consistently out there, getting put out there, but they're always of a high quality.
And, thank you.
You do your research, right? So you can balance that with a kid. I'm blown away. That's very impressive.
I have a little bit of a hack for my research. I drive a bus for a living.
Really?
So in the city. So when you get to the end of the line, let's say you go from the east side of the town to the west side. When you get to that end, you usually have like 5 to 10 minutes before you have to leave again. That's the time that I write my scripts.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I come home and I like, if I haven't had time to finish, or like, cause I'll also do it when I get a break. I'll like tweak it and you like whatever. But before I leave for work, if I have an idea in mind, like let's say I'm doing a video about cassette-based fusion system. I'll have all the information that I could find on it on my phone ready to go. And when I get to work, I'll start scripting.
Wow. That's dedication. That really is. You're making it work. They say...
Doing what I can.
They say, if it's important enough to you, you'll find a way to make it work.
Exactly.
That's what people say. I avoid saying it because I know I can't imagine everyone's life situation, but you are absolutely an example of that.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so that leads really well into our next question. How do you feel about how avidly people are taking your content? And just to expand on that question just before you jump in, you've got great content, but honestly, people aren't going to want to watch weekly videos from someone that they don't like. So... especially if the videos aren't just you editing things together, but your voice is part of it. Your character. You are Gym Leader Ed. So not only do people like your content and your quality, but they like you as a person too. So, what's going on in your mind? How are you handling this kind of explosion happening with your channel?
Honestly, like I'm all I could say is like I'm I'm very humbled to know that people like listening to my voice. And like, there's a meme in my community about people simping for my voice because apparently I guess I have a nice voice or something.
It's better than mine.
There's a big joke about how they want me to open up an OnlyFans for my voice. Like there's funny little jokes like that. But no, it's honestly, I didn't expect what happened. Like this definitely wasn't planned. Like I was just like, I'm gonna make videos because I like making videos, and I'm honest. I'm very humbled to see everything that's going on. Especially I see a lot of people on YouTube now. I'm obviously a lot smaller, but I see a lot of people on YouTube saying how like they'll get hate comments and this and that. And everybody gets them. Like I've had a few here and there, but I'm very surprised by how little. Like we were trying to figure out a video to do to like celebrate our one of our subscriber milestones, and the community voted that I do a video reacting to hate comments. Wow. I couldn't find enough to make a video. So I'm like, it makes me like, I think we have a really good community because you'd expect with any level of gaming, there's always, not just gaming, anything. Like you could be talking about vlogging or anything. There's always certain people that are going to say things to you. But surprisingly, like this community, I think is just a really good community. Like every game that I'm in their Discord, every every type of video I make, for the most part, like everybody's really supportive of it. I think this is a very good community.
Well, 100% because of you building it and people gravitating around you. To touch on your point about being humbled by it, you know, I saw a comment on Reddit, I don't know, 7-8 years ago. Like, you know, I've been browsing Reddit a long time, I guess. It was quite a while ago. People said, why do people on award shows say, you know, I'm so humbled by this reward? Like, wouldn't that make you think, oh, well, of course I deserve it? If anything, it's the opposite thing. Like, it builds your narcissism a bit. But just having the fans that we do come toward our project, the number one feeling for me that really surprised me was you get this really strong feeling of, I don't deserve this.
Yeah.
You know, like,
there are people out there trying harder than me. I don't deserve this. I haven't done enough in my worldview to earn this much reward. So I think for me, at least, that's where the humbleness comes from it, because suddenly you're smacked in the face with this idea that, you know, what went wrong here? Like, what was the lotto that was won? But, I mean, you don't build a community like you do slowly over time. I mean, unless you're winning the lotto every day. But I totally get what you mean about humility.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with your sentiment. Like, I feel like that sometimes. Like, why are people coming to my channel? Like, especially when it's your own, like my own videos, or I'm sure you feel the same with your game. When you look at any tiny little mistake, you're like, you know, why do people like look over that? Why like you get really self-conscious about certain things. Like I've had videos where and this is another thing, going back to how good the community is. I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes in videos. I've gotten something wrong because I misread it, or, you know, maybe it wasn't a huge mistake, but it was still something that was false. And, you know, someone will let me know, like, hey, just so you know, you made a mistake here. Whereas, like, I could definitely see if someone makes a mistake, someone in the comments being like, what the F? Like, this is false. You didn't do your research properly. Sometimes mistakes happen. And I definitely noticed that our community, this monster taming community, is very like, they're very forgiving with that type of stuff. And they help me be better too. Like, I remember when I first started doing Kindred Fates videos, I couldn't find access to the Discord at first. So all I had was a Kickstarter information. So in one of my videos, I said something like, I'm not sure if this specific, it had to do with there's these royal forms that you can get. It's a backer tier, but they're just cosmetic. And I said, I'm not sure if these have any gameplay differences. And someone pointed out, like, well, you should know that because in the Discord it says this. And I was like, oh crap, I didn't even know I couldn't find the Discord. So stuff like that, like people could have reamed me out for that mistake, but instead of just telling me I'm stupid, people will like, you know, build you up.
Yeah. Well, for what it's worth, I remember seeing one video of yours where someone in the comment section corrected you on something.
and
Oh yeah. Oh, my older Monster Crown video, there was a few things that I got corrected on.
I don't know if it was a Monster Crown video or not. The point I want to make, though, is that I remember seeing once for sure someone say, "Oh, you got this thing wrong," but I don't know what it is you got wrong. I don't know what it was. So like, it didn't register in my brain. Oh man, Ed really screwed up that one. It wasn't like that at all. It's not leaving an imprint on people, but what left an imprint on me was that you said, "Oh, you were grateful for that person sharing that info and you wanted to set the record straight." That's what I remember. I don't remember that you forgot the exact accuracy and power rating of rollout. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't even matter. It's the way you approached it.
I appreciate that. I honestly, like, I try to make sure that I'm not I definitely don't want to be that person that gets like super defensive if I make a mistake. Like, if someone has a criticism for me and I feel like maybe it's like not warranted, I'll defend myself, but I'm not gonna, if I make a mistake, I'm not gonna be like, well, too bad. Like, I'm definitely gonna take responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you come across that comment, you've got a few options. Right away, you've got the option right there in front of you to delete it or downvote it or like it or respond. And you always have that power, and it's pretty much equally easy to do any of those 4 or 5 actions. But time and time again, you choose the one that just shows your work ethic.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, the only comments I delete are the ones from the bots that are trying to steal people's YouTube accounts.
What was that one that went around recently? Like, do you want to be friends or something?
Yeah. That guy was comment. I banned him from the chat. Like, those are the only comments I've ever deleted. If any other comments disappeared, the user deleted it, or they maybe put in like a word that, because YouTube has certain words that are like banned that instantly get removed or whatever. But I don't delete comments. If somebody wants to, tell me, I had one person tell me they insulted me. I forgot what they said, but it was kind of funny. I left it up. But yeah, I never liked it when people did that, because it feels kind of shady, like you're trying to silence the criticism against you, and I don't think that's right.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Those negative comments, or not the negative comments, but the creepy bot comments, and like people just trying to be creepy, I guess, always have a specific feeling to them. Back during, I think just after the Kickstarter, a couple of people tracked down my real life phone number somehow.
Oh.
And they gave me a call on a Saturday night. And it was these, they sound like they were 19, 20 years old. And they said in this really creepy voice, "Do you want to do trivia?"
And I was like,
what is this? And like, maybe I shouldn't gratify this prank call by bringing attention to it, but if they've followed the past 2 years and they're listening to this, congrats guys, you really got me. But I was like, no. I just felt like if I said yes to doing trivia, somehow they were going to get my social insurance number, my bank card information, my credit card. Like, they're going to, I don't know. I was so afraid of reacting at all. So I just said no. And eventually they hung up on me. But yeah, it was funny stuff happens. Okay, so back to the interview. What do you want to see happen with this genre over the next few years? And you can be overly optimistic. Just what would you like to see happen?
I guess I could say like the one thing that I really want to see is, if I could say it in one word, I'd say like legitimacy. Not in the way that might sound. At first, that sounds like I'm saying it's illegitimate. What I mean is, I think this year alone has been like a huge stride forward for the quote unquote legitimizing of games that are like Pokemon, or at least have creatures like beyond the, oh, it's a Pokemon clone. Like, I want to see more people accept the legitimacy of these games. Cause every game I see that's anything that has monsters in it that are battling, I see a comment, "Oh, so you're just making a Pokemon game." Mm-hmm. I'd like to see this. I'd like to see the anti-Pokemon connotation that people put on these games. I'd like to see that start to get eradicated. Like, I'd like to see more people accepting these games as, it's like, for example, playing Monster Crown doesn't mean you hate Pokemon. It just means you're playing a game that's in the same genre. Like, you could love Pokemon Sword and Shield, but also play Monster Crown or also play Coromon. Like, these Pokemon games come out once a year, so if you're someone who still loves Pokemon, you don't have to turn your back on these games. You can enjoy all the monster taming games. That's one thing. It's been one of my things. I guess with like a game like Neo, people call it Souls-like, but there's like a level of respect. And I'd like to see Monster Tamer games, and I think we've done a great job this year, like fixing that. Like, a lot of more people I think have sort of like warmed up to the idea of, just because a game has monsters in it and you fight them, that doesn't mean it's Pokemon. You have like games like let's say Patch Quest. That's nothing like Pokemon. You ride monsters. It's monster taming, but it's nothing like Pokemon. There's no way you could call that a clone. You have a game like, let's say, Kindred Fates. It's like Pokemon only for the fact that there's monsters. There's not much else that's like that's like Pokemon, or even games that are still in the RPG format. Like, just because it has monsters that battle doesn't make it Pokemon. So I'd like to see more people have like more less animosity towards it, and less, because of course people who have decided to remove themselves from the Pokemon franchise, of course they're going to gravitate towards these type of games more, but that it's not an anti-Pokemon movement. I'd like more people to realize that.
Yeah, and as a developer, so many times being told, this is a bad joke, it's Pokemon bought this, or oh, you're just clearly ripping off Pokemon. I guess I've always considered myself able to take a lot of that stuff, but eventually it does get to you, and the more of yourself you put into it, you start to come to a point where you say, okay, no matter what I do, there's a subset of people, and maybe even they're the largest subset of people, that are always just going to see all of your creativity and everything you try to inject in there as you just trying to fluff up that cash grab, as they call it.
Yeah. It genuinely upsets me. Like I'm not even making a monster taming game, and I get mad when I see comments like that.
And it must get like I know Zack. He's been in this game far longer than me. The creator of Evo Creo has been. So to them, they must be on the next level with strength, because they've been facing it even longer than me and other more recent developers.
Yeah, and a lot of those, especially like I feel like the last couple of years were the most like accepting towards these type of games. Like I think even before that, like there was a lot less people that even knew about it. I didn't even know about monster taming games besides Pokemon for the most part, even a few years ago.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely easy to miss. It was always a niche genre.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that as the developers try to get word out there about their game and try to get people to give it a chance, we're always seen as biased, of course, because we have our own project that we want people to try out and like. But also, it's going to take a movement. A single person can't make this happen. And I definitely see you as one of the leaders of this movement that's growing that acceptance in a way that me and the other developers, we can't. No matter how much we want to, we can't. So thank you for that. And I think if the genre grows in the direction that you're hoping, I hope you'll remember that you were definitely an instrumental part of it.
I hope so. I definitely hope that's something I could, because honestly, like the biggest thing for me is I want people to know that, if there is a monster taming game, like if they do feel like, for example, Pokemon as an older fan has left them behind. I don't want people to feel like that's it. Like there's nothing else. Like they have to just not have a game that they can enjoy. And honestly, like seeing all these, like it's honestly insane to me how much variety there is in the genre as well. Like there's so many different types of experiences as well. Like no two of these games feel the same.
I agree 100%. And that is a fantastic segue into our final boss question. This is the final boss question. It takes a lot of effort to answer this one.
So
let's say you start Gym Leader Ed Co. And maybe you can't call it Gym Leader because of copyright infringement, but we'll call it Ed Co. And you get billions of dollars of support. You have a budget that could be compared to a big name Digimon or Pokemon game. So Monster Sanctuary takes the genre in the Metroidvania direction. Siralim is all about the fantastic strategy and fantasy. Monster Crown's all about breeding. Temtem leans into the MMO aspect. So if you were making your dream monster taming game, what aspect would you seek to fully explore? So
I've actually thought about this in the past. It's actually been a I had a similar question a long time ago that I covered before, but I've kind of thought about the type of monster taming game that like I'd make if I could, and especially if I had like infinite resources. I can imagine, like, I think I'd still go the RPG routes, like Monster Crown and Coromon. Like, I like RPG games, like, a lot, especially with, like, turn-based battles and stuff like that. I could imagine having... So, Siralim, for example, has, like, depths and basically, like, there's endless stuff you can do in that game. If I had unlimited resources, I'd have, like, the bulk of, like, a game like Monster Crown or Coromon, like, with the whole story, with end game content basically being the Siralim. Just throw that in there as end game content. Again, I need unlimited resources to do that, but like I'd like to like grab, because each game has something very specific that attracts me to it, and like, and I guess in my head, if I had unlimited ability to make a game, I'd kind of grab like everything. I like the MMO aspect of Temtem. If I could, I would add like if I was gonna go that route, I'd add like if you've ever played RuneScape, they have like mining and wood cutting and stuff like that. I'd add like stuff like that, so you could like, let's say mine rocks, and that those would give you like different items you can get, like the capture item or the or like bag upgrades, stuff like that. Like if I was gonna go the MMO route, but if I wasn't, I just want to have like a very obviously, I'd want to have like multiplayer and stuff like that. But again, this is not like I don't know the first thing about coding an actual game. I only know how to ROM hack. And there'd be lots of dragons because I like dragons.
Well, ROM hacking is a great place to start. I think if you dabbled in a bit of code, you would realize you know more than you think, or at least you understand the principles that will make learning it very easy because you have that mental model foundation.
Yeah, the only coding experience besides ROM hacking is I used to use Game Maker when I was like maybe 13 or 14, so I know a bit of GML, but that's about it.
I loved playing with that too as a teenager. I made a game called Atlantis, and no one played it but me.
Yeah, I have a game like that.
Yeah, and I didn't have any clue how to have like a counter in the code. So like when you defeated a monster, when you fought a boss, when you shot it, it would just turn into another copy of that boss until like the last one, which was the one that died. So like it was full of all these horrible concepts to make it work together, but you know, you managed to put together a game, and it was so much fun playing with Game Maker as a kid. Like that level of power.
Yeah, exactly. I made like a Metroidvania. And I'm not artistic at all. Like I made all the sprites on Paint, and they look terrible. But I made like a little Metroidvania, and there's like 8 little worlds you have to like go through, and the bosses look terrible.
Sounds in depth though. 8 worlds for your first project, like.
Yeah, they're not huge, but I remember I worked on and off on that game for like 4 years, and eventually I just finished it, but. Yeah, it's I'm the only one who's ever played it.
You should consider posting that for people to play with. Just as
I was thinking about like maybe one day just for fun, like maybe posting a video of it or something and seeing if people would want to play it. But it's definitely rough around the edges.
I'm sure that we could forgive that long enough to give it a spin. Something from the mind of gym leader Ed. So, for those of you listening, Gym Leader Ed is a very cool dude. You don't need me to tell you that because you can hear it. We'll have all his links below to his channel, the Gym Leader Ed channel, his Discord, all his social media. Ed, do you have a Patreon?
Oh, no.
Okay. All right, well, let us know if you ever do get a Patreon, and we'll include that link as well. So, Monster Taming and Chill is going to launch in the near future. You talked about, I think, making it monthly?
Yeah, that's my plan, to try to once or twice a month. I don't want to like commit to anything like a specific date for each episode, just because one game dev might not be able to come on at a certain time, or eventually I might start bringing maybe some content creators as well. But yeah, I haven't decided specific dates just because I don't want to commit to a certain day and then
someone's not available or whatever. So I will make, like, anytime I do, I will have one coming. I'll make a post like a week in advance. You get those little posts you can make on YouTube. So if you're on the channel, you can kind of see, like, I'll be like, okay, guys, this time EST, the next episode will be coming out. But yeah, so once or twice a month.
Cool. So do you think that the first episode might drop in September, October?
Besides this one, probably, I guess this is like the episode 0, episode 1, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I could see, I haven't decided. Some of them might be live, some of them might not be live. It just depends what I'm going to give that option to the person that I'm interviewing, because some people are more comfortable doing something pre-recorded. But I do definitely have one that's like lined up for October. I want to try to get another one out this month, but I'll let you guys know.
Okay, awesome. I'm sure everyone will have their eye out for it. Guys, if you know anything about anything, check out Ed's channel. He's a cool guy. He's got lots of great content. Subscribe. He's one of like 4 YouTubers that I actually subscribe to and care about when they upload a video, because I guess I just never got that into YouTube. But he's definitely standing out of the crowd.
Check out his channel.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ed, for joining us and introducing yourself to everyone.
Yeah, for sure. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm sure the podcast is going to be a blast, and we're all going to be tuning in. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you, man.